Hello and welcome to week 58 of my weekly videos living with Alzheimer's. Now, there aren't many buttons on this tablet of mine. It's a pretty simple thing to do, but some days like today, for some reason, I do tend to press the wrong buttons. So I've been for some time actually now trying to get this thing to work. That in actual fact I've done many times before, but it's so frustrating when there are so many, just a few simple buttons, on and off, record and stop. I mean, how simple can it be? But for some reason it all goes horribly wrong. But anyway, I'm here and I've done it after about 15 minutes of pushing various buttons, and we got there. Now, it's actually today I want to talk about giving dementia an identity. And this works for me. It might not work for everybody, but it's something that I want to share with you today. Now, many of you will know that over the last year or so of doing these videos, I've often said that I go cycling and leave my dementia at home. I leave it sitting on the settee, twiddling its thumbs. And I first came up with this idea of giving my dementia an identity when I was first diagnosed, as I've said before, and as many people do, we get very depressed about it, and it can be quite a roller coaster place to be for us and the family. And I came up with this idea of making my dementia real, even though it is a real condition. But I wanted to take it out of my head, and I wanted it to have an identity. I wanted it to have a shape, a form, a look. And I wanted to be able to look it in the eye, if that makes sense. And in doing that, I had something to focus to, something to battle with. I suppose, instead of having a condition in my mind, it became something that was outside, external. And that's what I did, and it has worked. It has worked so wonderfully well, because I often, when I'm doing these videos, if I have a reasonably good day, and I'm doing a pretty interesting video and it's good, the dementia sits over there on the settee, and he's sitting there with his arms folded, and he's got quite a grump on. He's got quite a frown on, and he's sort of, really. And that's how I see him. Other days when I'm not doing so well, he sits there and he chuckles and he laughs and he says, you know what, yeah. And this is where the idea with, Peter 1, Alzheimer's 0, or Peter 2, Alzheimer's 1, and that sort of thing came from. It's become, from a battle, even though it is a battle, to a sort of daily challenge. And I want to share this with you today because it might help somebody come to terms with their condition. So, as I've said before, when I go cycling, I leave it at home. When I go outside, I leave it at home. Sometimes Alzheimer's sits on my shoulder and whispers in my ear and takes my thoughts. Other days, I can brush him off. And for me, it works that if I have this visual interpretation of something, it makes it easier to cope with. Now, the other day I went out for a cycle ride and I ended up in one of our local beauty spots, Orford, right on the coast. And a lady recognised me there. She'd been here for a week on holiday, came from, I think, from down south somewhere. She follows my videos. And this was a question that she asked me: how did I deal with Alzheimer's in my head? Because she had a family member who was diagnosed in the same age group. She even asked to have a photograph taken with me. How cool is that? And I wanted to answer this question for her. So I hope that has sort of helped. Taking a condition out of your head and putting it on the settee, putting it in a chair, putting it somewhere where you can visually have a go at it. That's great. And that's the thing I think we've got to do. My Alzheimer's, my dementia, he's a little short, squatty, fat man where his body really goes as far down as his legs. He hasn't really got any waist, and he's got a pointy nose, and his teeth are not very good. And I just portray him as quite an unfortunate not very good looking person. And that for me works. And I want to share that today with you, and hopefully maybe somebody else can take this idea away and make their own dementia, give their own dementia an identity, and try to come at battling at this disease from a different angle. Anything that helps, anything that works is worth a go. Well, as always, have a great weekend and have a wonderful week. And today, he is sitting over there today, as always, and he's quite grumpy. He was laughing at me earlier on when I was trying to do this recording and getting quite frustrated with doing it. But now I've won again, so now he's a little bit upset. And you know what? I just don't care. Talk to you all again next week. Thank you so much for listening. Bye bye.